Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I, Anandini Gupta,
And I, Ishika Bedia,
would like to extend a warm welcome to all present here for the Student Research Conclave 2023 by Symbiosis Center for Management Studies, Pune.
Symbiosis today is an established and globally known powerhouse, bringing a diverse group of individuals onto a common platform to enrich the experience of learning. From a dream of uniting the world and providing quality education, to becoming one of the most prestigious institutions in India, we have come a long way. We now present a video highlighting the journey of Symbiosis International Deemed University towards becoming one of India's leading universities.
This is the story of a man who dared to dream and persevered to make his dream come true. The story of a visionary Indian who thought differently and made an enormous difference to the lives of thousands of students all over the world. The story of Dr. Shantaram Balwant Majumdar, the founder of Symbiosis. It began when Dr. Majumdar, the rector of the boys' hostel at Pune's historic Fergusson College, was spending a quiet afternoon in his quarters. All students from India had left for their Diwali vacation. Only students from other countries had stayed back. Suddenly, Dr. Majumdar's attention was drawn by the sight of a girl student. She was standing under a window of the boys' hostel, stealthily passing a small parcel to a boy inside. Suspecting mischief, Dr. Majumdar went to the room to investigate. What he saw there left him disturbed and distressed. The girl had gone there to provide food to a Mauritian boy suffering from jaundice. The incident left a deep impact on Dr. Majumdar's mind and a void in his heart. He was so moved by the experience that he resolved to improve the plight of foreign students studying in India. Symbiosis was thus born in 1971 from the seed of a dream sown by its founder, Dr. Majumdar. His dream was to create an educational institute where, in his own words, students from all over the world would live, study, eat and play together in an atmosphere of peace, harmony, mutual respect and acceptance of cultural diversity. An institute from where foreign students would return to their countries as friends and ambassadors of our nation. Dr. Majumdar, himself a professor of botany, chose the name Symbiosis, the word biologists use to describe a mutually beneficial relationship between two living organisms. The guiding philosophy behind his endeavor was Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, or the world is one family. Today, the Symbiosis sapling has grown into a large tree. In 2002, Symbiosis was accorded the status of a university. Symbiosis International University's campus on Senapati Bapat Road in Pune, the first campus of Symbiosis, is a landmark in the city. Dr. S.P. Majumdar also established a memorial and a museum in Pune to commemorate the life and ideals of Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar. Symbiosis is also known for its unique Afro-Asian Cultural Museum, a treasure trove of cultural, historical and artistic heritage that showcases the beauty and diversity of various countries. Over time, Symbiosis has come to dwell not just within the walls of its many institutes, but also in countless hearts the world over. Symbiosis is the laughter of students and the quintessence of education. A world-renowned, multicultural, multilingual and multidisciplinary educational institution, Symbiosis now has state-of-the-art campuses in Pune, Bengaluru, Noida, Nashik, Hyderabad and Nagpur, with plans to have campuses in other nations as well. The university hosts thousands of students from each and every state and union territory of India, as well as international students from a number of countries around the world. The university has multiple institutions in diverse disciplines of study. law, management, computer studies, medical and health sciences, media and communication, humanities and social sciences, engineering, architecture and design. The university is also in the forefront of research in diverse areas such as advanced legal studies and research, waste resource management, stem cell research, nanoscience and nanotechnology, medical image analysis, behavioral studies, applied artificial intelligence, entrepreneurship and innovation, research in media and creative industries, Center for Ambedkar Studies. Over the years, Symbiosis has excelled in 3 avatars: culture, education, and health. Physical, mental, social, and spiritual. Symbiosis truly embodies the transformative vision manifest in the country's national education policy aimed at creating global citizens with Indian values, which has also been the focus of Symbiosis throughout its illustrious journey of more than 50 years. In keeping with the university's larger social commitment, the Medical College and the 900-bedded state-of-the-art Symbiosis University Hospital and Research Center are dedicated to serving humanity. This is evident in their commendable service to people in the many villages and hamlets around the lovely campus. These institutions have been instrumental in ensuring the well-being of the community, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic. Symbiosis Community Outreach Program and Extension, or SCOPE, is working towards the sustainable, comprehensive, and integrated development of the villages located in the vicinity of Symbiosis International University's main campus. The university continues to attract a multitude of well-known leaders celebrities, and iconic personalities. A lesser-known facet of Symbiosis is the wealth that Mother Nature has bestowed upon it. The university campus at Lovely is home to a large variety of flora and fauna. In March 2022, on the proud occasion of the Golden Jubilee of Symbiosis, the Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi, inaugurated Symbiosis Arogya Dham.
50 years ago, the idea germinated in my mind to promote friendship and understanding between foreign and Indian students and thereby promote international understanding. Today, we are celebrating Golden Jubilee of this golden idea.
कि 50 साल की आपके पास एक ऐसी पूंजी है, अनुभव की पूंजी है, अनेक एक्सपेरिमेंट करते करते आप यहाँ पहुंचे हैं। एक खजाना है आपके पास, ये खजाना भी देश के काम आएगा। आप फले फूले और यहाँ पर आने वाले हर बच्चा अपना उज्जवल भविष्य बनाने के लिए आत्मविश्वास के साथ निकल पड़े। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं।
For Symbiosis International University, the world was, is, and will always be its family. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam.
In the vast expanse between what we know and what we need lies the bridge to a sustainable future. Building that bridge brick by brick with shared knowledge paves the way for lasting change and progress. Namaste. I am Anandini Gupta.
And I am Ishika Bedia.
From Symbiosis Center for Management Studies, Pune. We're extremely privileged to have amongst us our honorable chief guest, Dr. Praveen Goyal, Associate Professor and Head, Department of Management, BITS Pilani. Our beloved Dr. Adya Sharma, Director, SCMS Pune. Faculty, staff, and students from all over the country and other parts of the world, including Brazil, Zimbabwe, and Qatar. We're so glad to have you all with us here today.
It is with great pleasure and utmost honor that we gather here today for the Students' Research Conclave titled Interdisciplinary Innovation in Business and Management, Bridging Knowledge Gaps for a Sustainable Future, to embark on a journey of knowledge, collaboration, and inspiration.
The Student Research Conclave is built on the ground that the fundamental premise of research is the pursuit of knowledge. In today's globalized world, research plays a crucial role in academic development. Knowledge-driven growth founded on innovation is indispensable. We believe that engaging in research while studying has a profound impact on students' growth and development.
The conclave, titled Interdisciplinary Innovation in Business and Management, Bridging Knowledge Gaps for a Sustainable Future, centers on merging diverse insights from various fields to reshape business practices. It underscores the significance of integrating knowledge across disciplines to devise lasting solutions for a more sustainable future in business. This theme advocates collaborative efforts across diverse areas of expertise to enhance the sustainability of businesses. As we assemble to celebrate this occasion, it is my distinct privilege to extend a warm and heartfelt welcome to each esteemed guest and attendee present here. I kindly request our beloved director, Dr. Adya Sharma, to deliver the welcome address, sharing her invaluable insights and setting the tone for this momentous gathering.
Thank you, Ishika and Anandini. You people are doing a wonderful job. Namaste, and a very warm welcome to the Student Research Conclave organized by SCMS Pune. A very warm welcome to our chief guest, Dr. Praveen Goyal, Associate Professor, Department of Management, Birla Institute of Technology and Research, BITS Pilani. Thank you so much for being here today. A very warm welcome to all the participants. Thank you, faculty, for encouraging them to write papers and submit. A very warm welcome to my own faculty and staff, and a special welcome to all the students of SCMS Pune. I'm very happy that we have organized the Student Research Conclave because at SCMS Pune, we very strongly believe that research is an integral part in our pursuit of knowledge. And we try to help our students understand, appreciate the value of research, the process behind it, in the hope that together, all the stakeholders of the education sector, we will learn, grow, and contribute together towards a more healthy and a sustainable future based on knowledge. Also, I think this provides a wonderful platform for students to connect and learn from each other. And I'm glad that actually happened. So we have papers, not just from the leading institutes, some of the leading institutes of our own country, but we have papers from Brazil, Zimbabwe, Qatar, among others. Thank you so much once again for submitting your papers over here and being here today. And at this point, maybe let me also thank the organizers of the conclave. Thank you so much, Dr. Ashutosh, Dr. Sharmila, Dr. Jalpa, Dr. Arpita. You've been really working to make this conclave a reality. A special thanks to the entire placement team. I have seen how hard you've been working for this conclave. As I said, a special thanks to all the participants for being here. And honestly, I'm looking forward to a day which will be full of discussions, debates, hear new ideas. So I'm pretty excited about the whole day. And I do hope that all of you also have a great day in our little pursuit, in this our little journey of pursuit of knowledge. Thank you once again. Welcome to SCMS Pune. Namaste.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your enlightening words and for giving us the opportunity to be here. Dr. Praveen Goyal is an associate professor and head, Department of Management at Birla Institute of Technology, Science, BITS Pilani. He received his PhD in management from the Indian Institute of Technology, Roorkee, India. He has academic and research experience of approximately 15 years. Dr. Goyal has completed 3 research projects and 2 ongoing projects funded by various government agencies. He has published papers in journals of international repute like Journal of Business, Industrial Marketing, Journal of Consumer Behavior, Journal of Global Marketing, and others. He is actively involved in mentoring researchers from different universities in various capacities. His research interests include consumer behavior, value co-creation, and CSR. He has been a guest editor for special issues in various international journals. I would now like to invite our esteemed chief guest, Dr. Praveen Goyal, who epitomizes innovation, leadership, and a commitment to societal progress to deliver the welcome address, imparting his invaluable perspectives and setting the stage for a truly enriching event.
Hope I'm audible. So, good morning, Professor Sharma, Professor Mathur, other colleagues from Symbiosis Center of Management Studies, my dear students, participants from the various countries, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to thank the organizing team and especially Professor Sharma and Professor Mathur for inviting me and providing me this opportunity to share my, a little bit of knowledge that I have earned in last almost 15 years of my experience in the academic and research. In the moment I get to know about this student research conclave that is being organized by SCMS Pune and the invitation that I received, I was just pondering over thought that what should I talk? Should I talk about the research that I have conducted and published, or should I talk something in general? Then I after thinking, deciding what should I do, what should I not do, I just thought of that. Let's talk about the theme. What the theme of this research conclave. The theme of the research conclave says that what kind of knowledge gap that exists, especially from the interdisciplinary part, and how it can help in the bridging the knowledge gap for the sustainable future. So it's a matter of honor for me to share my knowledge or experience with the wide variety of audience that is coming from the various institutions in India as well as abroad. So without any further delay, I'll just start my presentation. Hope my screen is visible to all of you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, it's visible.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I try, as I mentioned, I try to focus on what the role of interdisciplinary research in bridging the knowledge gap. That is something that is in contemporary world when we are in the 21st century, and one of the it has been said that in this 21st century the knowledge and know-how is the key to success. As one of the famous basketball coach Pat Riley said, if you are not getting better, you are getting worse. So it is important how we are going to create the knowledge which is going to help in bridging that gap, that interdisciplinary research, and how the research which is coming from the interdisciplinary is going to create the more knowledge. So I'll just try to touch upon certain points in this presentation. So let's try to understand the first and foremost thing, what is knowledge. When we talk about knowledge, what does it mean? Because we are talking about knowledge creation, we are talking about the development of knowledge, but what exactly the knowledge is? So knowledge is basically defined as a fact or condition of knowing something with familiarity gained through experience. We are learning through the experiences that we are having, or we are just getting to know about certain things by getting associated with certain things. So when we are when we talk about our day-to-day experiences, starting from our childhood age and when we are getting older, and what we are today and what we are going to be tomorrow, number of things, number of associations that we have with the people, number of experiences that we come across, and then which we are going to learn certain new things, right? Then It may be considered as a body of truth, information, and principles. Over the period of time, when you talk about the certain fundamental laws, universal laws, like law of gravity, when we talk about the sunrise in east, or certain laws, there are certain universal principles, universal information that is being acquired over the centuries of the research, centuries of discussions, exploration, traveling around the world, and then people just realize the certain piece of information, and then they are passing it on from the generations to one generation to another generation. And then one of the most important thing that comes in my mind when I was just going through this uh, preparing the presentation: is it possible to know everything in the world? And I believe that it is not possible. It is not possible because sometimes, despite the fact that you might be having a very wide knowledge, wide experience, you might have traveled around the world, you might have met a number of people in the world, but even then, it is not possible to know everything in the world. Keeping that in mind, keeping that in mind, that one thing that has been started and then people have started discussing about, that is that let's not focus on knowing everything. Let's develop the specialization. Let's develop the streams. Let's develop the disciplines. The people over the period of time, then people are being trained to be specialized in a certain ways. So if you remember, when and all of you will agree with me, when we start our school education, starting from the school, we study certain subjects. We study social sciences, we study sciences, we study then mathematics, we study physics, we study the English, and all those languages, all those subjects that we learn. Over the period of time, when you reach to certain level of maturity, you are supposed to choose a discipline. You are supposed to choose a stream. You're supposed to, yes, you are trying to be, you're not trying to be take, or taking a path that, though you have learned certain things. Say for example, in class till class 10th you learn certain things, then you say, no, let's in class 11th, or after your matriculation, you say that let's focus on a specific discipline. Some people go in the discipline of arts, some in commerce, some goes into the sciences. And then over the period of time, from school education to the college education to the higher education and post graduation, and then maybe talk about the when some people are going to do in the research, we are trying to be becoming more and more specialized. So something which I have studied during my school education as a part of one of the course, as one of the chapter in one of the subject, I may be doing my entire research or my entire PhD in the particular topic only, and or even one of the subtopic of the particular. So that is how, that because it is not possible for everybody to know everything in the world, the concept of specialization, streams, and discipline came to the picture. That let's focus on that part. That let's train people in a particular discipline. Let's train people in a particular direction, so that they will be having an specialization. They will be learning. They will be learning a very initially we have the horizontal kind of learning, then we try to have a vertical kind of learning when we say let's focus on a particular specialization. So people, those are getting trained into the people are becoming doctors, people are becoming engineers, people are becoming scientists, architectures, design, and all those kind of stream that you are having. People are being trained in a very, and as I mentioned, the moment you move from the school education to the graduation and the post graduation and the PhDs and the research, you may be doing something. For example, I did my graduation in economics. I did my masters in marketing, and I'm currently focusing, as during the introduction you mentioned, that I'm focusing my entire research on the consumer behavior. So consumer behavior is just one of the topic that I've studied during my economics courses during my graduation. As a part of marketing, I studied a course on the consumer behavior, entire course on the consumer behavior, and now I'm just focusing on one of the aspect of consumer behavior, say value co-creation or the customer engagement, as a part of my focus of my research. So this is how the people are, being trained. And I'm sure everybody in the audience will be agree with me when I'm saying that people are, you might have been focusing on certain things while you are, getting more and more deep down in that particular field of study, and then you just focus on one of the problem, as all of you will be presenting your research papers in today's, in this research conclave, and you might have studied, you might have done a small, you might have picked up a problem which is focused on a very niche or very specific area, and that is how you're going to understand that particular topic of interest, particular field of study. So this is all what the knowledge talks about. Now the next question that comes in my mind, that one of the famous quote is that as the diameter of our knowledge increases, the circumference of our ignorance also. So it is more the knowledge that we learn, that the more the things that we learn, we are also our ignorance, because we are trying to understand those, those information, those piece of knowledge in the large setup. We try to understand. So because knowledge is increasing day by day, every year the millions of the papers are being published. Lakhs of the researchers across the globe are working in these different kind of discipline, different kind of areas. So our information, more we study, more we get to know, and the more of the the size of the knowledge, the sphere of the knowledge is also kept on increasing, and that is how that comes to the gaps in the knowledge. We know certain things, we take a path, we move a little forward, and then we realize, okay, fine, somebody has done a certain part of the things. So that is how the gaps in the knowledge that comes into picture. There's something we do not know, or sometimes we do not know sufficiently. It may happen that you're talking about that I do not have any idea. For example, if I'm being a person of economics and being a person of marketing, I have a very limited knowledge about the finance as a discipline. I'm sure some of my colleagues may here, those are having very great expertise in the area of finance, even in the area of finance, when we talk about the capital budgeting, when we talk about the accounting, when we talk about the taxation, there are certain things. So certain things we know, we don't know, or we do not know sufficiently. I may have a basic fundamental understanding of finance as being an economics graduate, but I do not have that detailed understanding, right? So this is something that I'm saying that how the knowledge gaps are being created. Even when I say in the marketing field, though I've studied in marketing in my post graduation, I've done research in marketing, I'm continuously doing research in marketing, but still I cannot claim, I'm not in the position to claim that I know sufficiently in this particular discipline of marketing, or even the particular topic of the consumer behavior. Despite the fact that because these things are regularly increasing, these things are regularly, that knowledge is regularly expanding. So there is a difference between what you do know and what you need to know. That is again another thing, that sometimes we know certain things, but that is not sufficient, that is not required, that is not a right direction to take. So it is important for us to understand what kind of, what I need to know as a student, as a teacher, as a researcher, what I need to know. Because I'm sure that when you are conducting your studies, when you are going through the literature review as one of the important aspect of the writing any research, doing any research, because we need to know. So it is important to do the literature review, but on the same time, it is also important to do the correct literature review. Because you put any search string, or any, you just take any keyword, you put on the Google Scholar, you put on the Scopus, or any other research databases that you're using, you'll be getting thousands of the paper. Some may be relevant to your problem that you are exploring, some may not be relevant. So it is important that whatever you are reading, whatever the study that you are, your topic of interest that you're having, you should be in the right direction. You should be in the right direction, because you might have studied the thousands of the paper, but if it is not in the correct, it is not touching the correct the problem of that you are interested to work on, it is not going to solve the problem. So there is also a gap in the knowledge, that to understand what to read and what not to read, what to know and what you need to know. So when, for example, when you put the some single keyword consumer behavior, you might be getting consumer behavior in multiple disciplines, multiple directions, multiple contexts. But is it connected with my problem? Is it connected with what I want to research? That is also very important to understand when we are talking about the knowledge into the next thing that comes in my mind, that is experience. Because I'm having an experience. For example, I'm in Pilani right now. Some of you, I'm sure that most of you might have not been visited of this part of the country, definitely. So, what you don't know what is happening in Pilani. So, and similarly, I am not visited the entire world. I have not visited the entire certain things. So, having an experience or not having an experience is again creating the gaps in the knowledge. Because I sometimes what we do, we get to know from the books, we get to know from the people those have visited the places, people those have experienced, and sometimes we learn, we get to know about certain things by our own experience. And my experience of learning and knowing certain things will maybe sufficiently categorically different from what your experience with certain products, right? As being a researcher in marketing, I'll just try to make you understand this thing from the perspective of marketing. So for example, you are using a product, so product experiences may be different. What you understand from that product and what is your experience on the product and what is my experience, that is going to create the gaps in the knowledge. This is very important part of the knowledge gap, that is theory and practice. We are doing research, and this is a problem with the academic research that is being pointed out in on the multiple platforms by the multiple people. And that is so because what we do in the theory, what we research, it is not being practiced. So there is a gap what academic setups are doing, and there is what is happening in the actual, what is happening in the industry. So this gap between the theory and practice, because sometimes you might have come across when we are saying that there's assumptions, that we are taking assumptions in developing theories, but whether those assumptions are holding any kind of validity in the practice or not. So that is something that is related to the what is being taught, what is being discussed in theory, and how relevant it to the practices. And that is what the reason that when we are conducting the research, it is very important to understand how it is going to help the practitioners, how it is going to help the people those are working in the industry, because that relevance to the industry is very very important. Because we, if you're doing that research in the isolation, industry is working in isolation and academic world is working in isolation, that it is important to bridge that gap. It is important to bridge that gap, because if you are not bridging that gap, it is your research will be in the research paper, your research will be in the thesis and dissertation that you're writing, but it is not of any use for the people those are actually should practice that research. So it is important for us to understand how my research is relevant to the theory, the practice that is doing. Next thing that comes into the picture is a changing environment. Market is changing, dynamic. We are in the 21st century. We are in the age of AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning. So how the marketing environment is changing. Something which was specialization few years back, it has become core today, and something that is core, something that was core, it has become obsolete. It has become obsolete. People are talking about the different marketing, and when you're talking about the business analytics and all those kind of things, because that has become the today's reality. Data has become important aspect. So how you are changing your understanding of certain things, it must be connected what is happening in the changing environment. Otherwise you will be obsolete, you will be irrelevant. Nobody's going to talk about your research, nobody's going to read your research, nobody's going to, they're not giving any thought what you're doing, because your research, your study is not connecting with the changing dynamics of the environment. We need to talk about what is happening today, because there is something that is connected with my previous point. It is important to connect what is being practiced. Again, you can't work in those isolations when people are market is talking about something else and then you are doing something else, and there will always be the gap. And it is a responsibility to fill that gap by creating more and more information. But again, if you are doing it in isolation, it is not going to serve the purpose. And the last, but one of the most important, specifically in the social science field, because I believe that majority of the people those are attending today's session is coming from the social sciences. The context is very important. Context is very important, because in social sciences, in research related to social sciences, we need to understand how the culture and the society is changing. I am sure that people are here from the different discipline, different from the different cultural and social setups. So what is true in their cultural setup? Is it true in my cultural setup or social setup or not? So some of the people, when we are doing the research, we need to understand that gap from the perspective of theory and also from the perspective of context, because you can't just replicate what is happening. See, in sciences, when you are doing the lab experiments, you may replicate what is happening in some other part of the world, but you can't replicate in the case of social sciences, because culturally and socially we are living in a diverse world, right? So that is why it is very, very important to understand whether my research is having that capabilities to be generalized. Can I generalize my result, or it is having a very context specific, or can I replicate the outcome of my result into the different context or not? So this is very important for, from the perspective of a researcher, to understand how that context is playing an important role, because until unless your research is context specific, it may not be replicated in different settings, cultural and social settings. So that is what the reason that sometimes you might have seen and you might have written when you were writing the research paper and studies it, this kind of studies has not been done in the developing economies, or in in the India specifically, or in some other countries specifically. So because you might have done in some other context, that problem has been studied in different contexts, but not in the context of your country per se, or your locality or your localization per se. So it is important for us to understand that this context also creates a gap in the knowledge when you are moving from the one part of the world to another part of the world, and when you are moving from the one location to another location. So the moment the context change, the result may not be having the similar kind of validity. That your outcome of a result, your implications of results may not be having a similar kind of validity. It is important, and that is what the reason that this context is also creating the gaps. And that is why sometimes we just extending what is happening in the part of the world just to replicate, or just to see whether those results holds the validity in our context or not. So that the more, when we are conducting these studies in the different contexts, we are trying to check the generalizability of that particular research area, whether this research can be generalized or not. Otherwise, whatever you do, it is not going to be sufficient enough to be replicated in the different part of it, right? And that's what the reason, when we talk about the business management courses, when we are talking about the case studies, we are studying the case studies, cases are being, but still understanding those cases in your context is also very important, because the moment the culture change, the moment the social system change, those results may not have the similar kind of validity. So the next thing that comes to my mind, that why we need to fill these knowledge gaps, why it is important, because we know that there is a changes, there's a difference, but why should I be worried about those knowledge gaps? The first and foremost, the extension of the state of art literature. We are this is something that all of you must have been, the statement you might have come across while reading the research papers on that this is one of the contribution of the studies, that how you are expanding or extending the existing, that literature, that how you are adding to the current body of knowledge. Because more research that you do, you are trying to filling that gap, and then you are adding to the existing body of knowledge. It may be gap of context, it may be gap of theory, it may be something unexplored which is not has been explored yet, anything, but you are just adding something related to the theory part, that you are adding certain related to the, that yes, this is what has been done, we are adding more variables, we are adding more constructs, we are trying to understand the moderating and mediating effect, and that is how we are just adding to the existing body of knowledge. This framework, this theory can be evaluated or can be seen in this particular perspective as well. Update with the latest change in the environment. This is what I mentioned, that we are in the age of AI, artificial intelligence, blockchain, machine learning, and all this. So how those relevant? Uh, I was just going through the literature in the in the latest papers that are published. I have seen that people are started talking about the interface of AI with the marketing. People are talking about the blockchain and marketing, all those kind of things, because it is this is something which is happening in the market. So it is important for us to understand. You can't live in a silo and say that I don't care what is happening in the other part of the world, what is happening in the discipline. It is important for us to understand, because changes in the environment is making it imperative to update you, to redefine and refine your problems by keeping those latest changes in mind. Next is evidence-based decision making. So that is what I was talking from the perspective of gap in the theory and practice. That evidence-based decision making is another discipline which has been initially derived from the medical sciences and the law. It is being extensively being used in the case of management as well. That how we are trying to develop those evidences, which is enabling me to take the better decision. Or in general sense, I can say how those evidences are enabling the managers or the practitioners in the appropriate decision making. Because whatever you do, it should have an implications. It should have anyway. So for example, when you are writing your research papers, you might have been talking about the managerial implications of your research. You are talking about the academic implications of research. You're talking about the social implications of research. You're talking about the policy implications of research. So all those to develop those implications, you need to provide the evidence, and that is those evidences should be helpful or will be helpful for the managers, practitioners, academicians, policymakers, society in general to make a better decision making. Bridging the gap in theory, and most importantly, making this world a better place to live. The entire research, when we are talking about the AI, blockchain, when we are talking about the sustainable development, when we are talking about the environmental friendly practices, all those waste management principles, circular economy, the entire research is happening just so that we can make this world a better place to live, because we have the limitation in terms of resources. So how that gap, what is not being done few years back, is being done today. What would we do, can't imagine it will be reality tomorrow. So it is important for us to understand how we are going to make this world a better place to live, where the people, that's what the reason that if you currently see the majority of research is happening in the area of circular economy, sustainable development, corporate social responsibility. The reason is simple, because researchers are trying to understand how those things can be improved, how they can direct the managers and the practitioners to change their practices. So ultimately, they can contribute to make this world. And the last but not the least, for the sustainable future, because the definition of sustainability says that it is not the meeting the needs of the current generation. It is also to take care of the requirements of the future generations as well. So it is important to understand that what kind of scenario will be in 10 years down the line, or 20 years down the line, or for the next generations, or next to next generations, how we are going to make this world as a better place to live, and having the sustainable future for the people those are going to start their life, they're going to start their career. So it is important, we need to identify the better ways to you might have been studying in operations management when we talk about lean management, lean practices, or when we talk about the best management principles or Six Sigma principles. That all is trying to make you more efficient and effective. That how we are going to make it more efficient, and how we are going to develop this place in a better way. So when we talk about the knowledge, when we are talking about the knowledge gap, one of the way to fill this gap is to do research in a particular field of study. Why we say in a particular field of study? Because as I mentioned, it is not possible for me to do research in which is in every field. So I need to define what is my area. I need to define what is my, what is the research problem that I'm going to discuss, and how it is going to be relevant, right? So by doing this research, knowledge is being created or extended. Whatever the research, I'm not just specifically focusing on the social sciences, whether you are whatever the discipline that you belongs to, whatever it's architecture, it's engineering, it's sciences, in social sciences, management, economics, whatever the research you belongs to, you are trying to create the knowledge, or you're creating a new knowledge, or you are extending the existing knowledge by adding something more in the current body of knowledge that you have. So it is important to conduct that kind of research, whether sometimes you may be involved in doing the qualitative research, quantitative research, and all those kind of things. So it is important for us to understand how we are going to create the knowledge. And this process, when we are talking about the process of the research, it may vary. Something we are just going to discuss in the subsequent sections. This process may vary. So how the research is being done in the, say, biology as a discipline, or how the research is being done economics as a discipline, or how the research is being done computer science as a discipline, the process is going to be different. The idea of the research may be different. But ultimate objective of whatever the discipline that you belongs to, whatever the way that you do the research, whatever the process that you adopt, ultimate objective is to create and extend the existing body of knowledge. So keeping that in mind, let's try to understand what is research. So research is a careful systematic study and investigation in some field of knowledge undertaken to establish facts or principles. This is what I was talking about from the last, say, 10-15 minutes, that how we are going to evaluate, systematically evaluate the existing field of knowledge so that we can ensure, we can establish certain facts and principles. Or if I need to define it in a more precise way, we can say the structured inquiry that utilizes accepted scientific methodology. Sometimes you know, as the researcher in the field of social science discipline, you might have been doing certain, reliability analysis, validity analysis, Cron-Batch alpha, KMO principles, R square values, and all those kind of things. So they're the accepted scientific ways to solve the problem. That there's a limit for the Cron-Batch alpha value. There's a value that KMO has been defined. There's a factor values are defined. Eigenvalue has been defined. So people have done studies in the statistics and research and in mathematics, and then they have identified these are the accepted value, and we are trying to implement those principles into solve our problem. So when you are applying the structural equation modeling, or you are applying the multiple regression, or mediating and moderating, whatever you do, you are just utilizing the acceptable scientific methodology to solve your problem. We are trying to understand the impact of the consumer, customer satisfaction or customer loyalty. I'll try to understand whether there's a causation or a correlation. I know there are certain scientific, statistically approved principle, and I collect data, I apply those tools, and I'll get to know whether it is positively related or not related, or whatever it is. So it is important that when we are doing the structured inquiry, because we need to define the scope, we need to define the limit of the research. Your research cannot be in a unlimited kind of scope. You need to define the scope. There's a limitation that you have to have a very because there's a limitation in terms of time and resources. So you need to define your structured inquiry. Then you are having the certain statistical tool to solve the problem, and then you are creating the knowledge. Scientific methods consist of systematic observation, classification, and interpretation. That is what I was talking about. You have the ways. We have the descriptive analysis, we have the predictive analytics, we have the prescriptive analytics. There are different ways by which we can describe the data, we can predict the association, and we can prescribe that this need to be done, this not to be done. So based on certain systematic observation, classification, interpretation of methods, we may identify some knowledge is being created. So there are certain characteristics. So keeping that in mind, they need to certain characteristics. Your research need to be rigorous in terms of the how effectively you are defining the problem, how you are limiting your biasness, how you are you're making your problems, you're trying to understand in a very detailed way. It need to be systematic. So when we say systematic, you need to understand the process. There is always a process. When you might have, all of you are presenting a papers in today's conclave, and you might have followed a structured approach of writing a paper. There will be introduction, there will be literature review, there will be a problem definition, objectives of the study, and all those kind of things. So it is very important to us to understand how we want to systematic. It need to be valid, it need to be acceptable, it need to be valid in certain context. One of the important things that research need to be verifiable. We need to be in the scenario that your research can be verified. So when we are having the data, somebody who if he or she use a similar kind of data, they should be able to get the result. So you should be able to verify your research, because if your research is not verifiable, it does not hold any importance in the society or in the system. So it is important to have that research that is being verifiable. Empirical depends. Empirical, it may be qualitative and quantitative. It may be based on the secondary and primary data. It need to critically analyze the problem that is in hand. Whatever the problem that you're talking about, it should be able to critically analyze the problem. And then when you are having those kind of all these parameters is being taken and you are being checked, you are actually going to contribute in certain piece of knowledge. I'll just talk about the type of research. There is a three perspective. So research may be pure and applied. So pure, when we say in an absolute sense, when I started my talk, I mentioned that there's law of gravitation. There's a pure research when something which is being cutting across the discipline, something which is cutting across the boundaries. That is a pure research. And applied, when I say the applied, it is applicable in certain specific contexts and certain specific situations. Then objectives may be descriptive, exploratory, explanatory, when you are trying to understand how explanatory power, dependent, independent variable, experimental, and correlations between the two variables. And the inquiry mode employed, you are quantitative data and qualitative data, because sometimes you may not have the existing theory, you are trying to develop theory. One of the research that we have one of my PhD student has conducted in the area of digital transformation. We were not having any specific theory to define a proper problem. So we have gone to the qualitative research when we have adopted the interviews method, case studies method to solve the problem, to understand the problem, to explore the problem. So it depends on the problem at hand, whether you are going to quantitative, because you have the theory that you are going to test, or in certain ways you are developing your own theory, and you are having the qualitative grounded approach or certain kind of different approach, which may help you in understanding that perspective in a different way. So this is the research theme. So this is a process that we need to follow when we are developing the research theme. We're conducting the literature review. Sometimes when you are defining the topic, when you're defining the topics and objectives, you have the topic based on your interest, topic based on the career consideration as well, sometimes because something what is being demand market, right? Sometimes it is a gap that is being filling a gap in the knowledge. Sometimes you are just based on the literature, you come across certain gaps and then try to fill up the gap. Based on that, you are going to develop a theoretical framework. You will be deciding your research design, experimental research design, descriptive research design, and all those kind of things. Then you're collecting the data. Data may be collected using the different methods, primary method, primary data, secondary data, anything. You are using the questionnaire method, you are using the interviews method, you are doing the case studies method. So people, depending on the researchers, depending on the requirement, they may have adopted a different kind of data collection methods, because they're the problem that they're studying, that is going to define what kind of data that is needed. The type of data will decide what kind of method of the data collection they will be used. And once your data is collected, you are going to interpret the results. You will be applying certain statistical tool, and then you are going to analyze that data into the, and then finally presenting the result. Now, one of the last thing that I just wanted to talk about the interdisciplinary research. That is a theme of the this conclave as well. That how that interdisciplinary research is important in bridging the knowledge gap. So this is interdisciplinary research is research when you are trying to bring the people or the researchers from the two different disciplines. So there are people those are in the field of biology, and there are the people in the computer science. They are coming together. There are people from the management and the mechanical. They are coming together. So you may have the different people coming from the different disciplines and trying to understand the problem, which is having a wide application and cutting across the different disciplines. This has emerged as one of the best way to develop the new knowledge streams. Something, as I mentioned in a few minutes back, that something which was core is obsolete. Something which was electives has become core today, and new electives has emerged. 15 years back, 20 years back, one of majority of my faculty colleagues will be agree with me when we have done our masters. We were talking about the study courses like consumer behavior. We are talking about the courses like marketing of services. We are talking about the courses like sales and distribution. Marketing is a core course. Now we are talking about the marketing, strategic marketing is a core course, and we are talking about the marketing analytics, pricing analytics, BEV analytics, customer engagement analytics. It's a new discipline, new electives as a must. So over the period of time, when you are trying to bring in the two interdisciplinary, because marketing analytics is basically something which is related to the mathematics, statistics, or computer science as a discipline. How we are going to utilize those information or the knowledge that has been created in this information into the particular setups. And then we involve the researcher from various disciplines working together to resolve the common issues. We are facilitating an active creation and exchange of knowledge. So we are trying to understand how that knowledge is being created, how that exchange of knowledge is happening into the particular part of the research. And then finally, we are addressing, this is one of the most important thing, that we need to address the complex global challenges, because the market is changing. Market is changing, and the problems has become more complex. And it is important to conduct those researches which is having the interdisciplinary impact, and then finally is going to create a knowledge and solve the complex problem in the world, and which will lead to the creation of a new science in the future. With this, I come to the end of my presentation. Once again, thank you so much for inviting me and giving me this opportunity to talk about my little bit piece of knowledge that I have, and experience that I have. Thank you once again, and over to you.
Thank you so much, sir. Your perceptions on importance of knowledge and research and your guidance on how to perform effective research are truly enriching. We extend our heartfelt gratitude for gracing the Students' Research Conclave with your presence and insightful remarks.
Thank you, Shika, and thank you, Anandini. And thank you, Professor Sharma, for once again for inviting me and giving me this honor to talk about this very interesting area of research that there is emerging. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Goel. Thank you so much.